Two hosts.
Tell me the most interesting thing on your mind right now.
Sorry, I was working on something. What was that?
Two guests.
You know, you guys really suck. Why is the floor wet?
One inept producer.
I'm just saying, you guys don't have that same thing before sex? I've got a checklist.
Four intriguing topics. They talk, you listen. Disappointment follows. Welcome to That Was Disappointing. Remember to tip your veal and try the waitress.
Ooh. When does it work better with the podcasting episode?
It's true crime. It works either way.
If you are listening to that sexy voice there, that is our friend Art, who has contracted COVID once again, along with AIDS. Art, how goes it?
Well, COVID for the second time is better than the first.
I mean,
Just
if you're going
kidding.
to play that music, can I just go ahead and be like, what happens when this person decides that they want to do this one thing, but then they get locked up in prison for it? That's exactly what that music needs to be.
I want to say that I've actually never listened to Serial ever. So I've
Really?
heard of it, but I've never
Really,
listened to it.
Baltimore native didn't
I
listen
know.
to the first season of Serial.
Never listened to it. But what's hilarious
Yeah.
is now that I heard the theme song, now I get where Only Murders in the Building took their entire theme structure and musical profile from. That makes me appreciate that show so much more.
I haven't seen it, and I need
It's
to.
wonderful.
Oh,
it's
it's excellent.
amazing. So
Yeah.
funny. And just so everybody knows, no, I don't have COVID again. I just recklessly drank through a sickness, and I have extended what should have been a 2 or 3 day cold until like a 7 or 8 day fiasco. So here we are.
Maybe.
But
Here we
now's
are.
the time. If you want me to do any of your movie trailers, you just tell me.
In a world.
In a world where Kenny gets fired because he keeps taking all of our money. Okay,
Well,
go on.
As I
Somebody
was saying, that sexy voice belongs to to one of the hosts of this show, along with myself. That is Art, who's dealing with something. We also have producer Kenny, as always, here with us. Kenny, how goes it?
I am great. I'm looking forward to this episode. Hoping we can solve some mysteries tonight.
Ooh.
Florida's
And we are
disgusting.
And we are also joined by the lovely Kat. Kat, it's nice to see you once again. And
Hello.
sans baby bump, because you have a precious baby boy now. Is that correct?
It is, and I am very excited to be drinking my second beer for the year of 2021.
Yay!
Oh, and speaking of producer Kenny, what drink do you have this evening?
I have a BTK lemonade extract, also known as Mike's Harder Lemonade. Sorry, it's what they sell it. They sell it at my gas
At first, I
station.
was confusing BTK with BTS, and that's that Korean band, right? So I was.
It's a
I
fine
get them-
line.
I get
Fine
them mixed
line.
up all the time. I'm always just like, oh, it's like that band BTK. I'm like, nope, that's
Smooth
not
like
it.
butter.
And Art, I am guessing you are not drinking alcoholic
A
libation.
hot toddy, motherfucker. I
Nice.
go with the old adage.
And I am still. I had a party this past weekend for my birthday. Invited a lot of my BBJ people over, and
Yeah.
and I I drank pretty much an entire bottle of Seagrams. So I have just a smidge left over, which I've tossed here into one of my usual concoctions with some Sprite. So we'll see how I'm doing by episode's end.
Nice.
But sounds like we're all doing well. I didn't really get into what the topic was at the start. I was joking that it sounded like we were doing podcasting. We were actually doing true crime this evening, which
Yes.
is interesting because it's something that a lot of people love. Look at the popularity of the ID channel, salacious magazines at the grocery checkout. So,
or anything on Netflix. I mean, you just
Netflix for that matter.
You just go on Netflix and 5 of the top 10 are true crime. Like, this is what happened to this thing. Before we go on, though, I just want to state this is my 41st appearance as a person on this podcast today. Yeah, and I'm now third. I'm now third. I haven't produced as many as Dave yet, but as of today, I'm a third. So yeah, place. I'm sorry, Joe. Go ahead.
No, please. That's all. Congratulations.
I wanted to tout that for the Patreon.
Poor bastard. So my first topic, talking about true crime. Something that's always kind of been a hotbed of topics. And you don't see it as much anymore because of how the improvements that's been made to law enforcement and whatnot. Serial killers. It seems like there's cameras everywhere nowadays. There's print. There's DNA analysis. It seems like you don't really have these freakish people who leave these trials. Who just leave these terror in their wake, I guess you could say. So my question is, in your lives, there have been many serial killers that you've heard about on the news, all kinds of horrible, terrifying stories. What is the one that scared you the most? And being a being a guy, and especially being a youngish man at the time he was executed, I would have to say John Wayne Gacy. And it's probably a close tie between him and Dean Corll. The reason being is because they both killed young kids, and young to teenage kids. And they not only killed them, but they tortured them, raped them, just did all kinds of horrible shit to them during their whole ordeal. And, John Wayne Gacy, one of his personas rather, was Pogo the Clown, because he used to go ahead and dress like a clown and go to birthday parties and political events, stuff like that.
No.
Wow. That is not me.
So
that
wrong.
Is all Lauren. Thank you very much. And Dean Corll was known, and this is just creeptastic, as the Candyman. And so, just hearing nicknames like that and, knowing what they did to these kids, especially, I've read stories about, Gacy would drown people and then revive them just so he could kill them again, pee on them, burn them with candles. And I'm just like, just sick fuck. And just thinking about, them dealing with all this and then having him perform his rope trick where he would tie a towel around their neck and then take like a towel bar and turn it and until they basically were strangled. Just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Have you guys seen the one picture that they have online? There's a couple of them of him actually dressed up as a clown.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, how fucking freaky is that? And
there's an infamous picture too of him standing next to I think Jimmy Carter's wife was Rosalind Carter, and not that she knew who he was. He was at he was a Democrat, and he was at a fundraiser, and he was a big he had brought in a lot of campaign money, and after what transpired came out, they're like, oh, here he is standing next to Rosalind Carter, and not that she knew who in the fuck he was, you know what I mean, but it just just creepy things like that. Ugh. So yeah, I would have to go with John Wayne Gacy. I don't know which one of you wants to pick it up from here. It's this is kind of a fucked up topic, so I'm sorry.
I'll chime in. I am a weirdo, and I love true crime. I actually studied criminology in college and spent a lot of time in the prisons around my college. And I don't think I could honestly say I've ever been creeped out. I mean, I've been creeped out by serial killers, but like I've never actually been scared of them, weirdly enough. But I would definitely agree with you that Dean Corll is a pretty creepy guy. Eileen Wuornos kind of fascinates me a little bit. She was one that I found, I don't know, I guess you would say it's creepy, especially being a woman, a female serial killer. There aren't very many of those.
Is that the one?
I found her.
Is that the one who the one actress played and won an Oscar? I don't remember her name.
Yeah,
it's
Monster.
Charlize Theron.
Thank you.
Monster was the movie. Yeah. There are a couple really good documentaries out there about her too, but just very interesting. But as far as scary, I guess I would say H.H. Holmes is probably the creepiest. Not that I would ever, in my lifetime, obviously, he wasn't around, but I don't know, just the idea of this like trap house almost. And he'd, lure people into them and put them in these rooms to torture them until they died. Some of them just, suffocating in walls. That's pretty messed up.
I think he's kind of considered America's first serial killer, although
I think you're right.
Although I'm sure there were more before him, but
yeah.
First big name in the news.
Yeah, they made a big thing.
Yeah, and a lot of things based off of the work that he did, so to speak, which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Art?
I am a huge fan for all this fucked up stuff. So I have heard about so many of these people. It's hard to pick one, but I think I got a good one. That none of them, I'm like Kat, none of them scare me, but I will be disturbed by what they do. But I think this guy takes the cake for just being fucked up beyond his heinous crimes. And I'm talking about Albert Fish, the werewolf of Wisteria, the Brooklyn vampire, the boogeyman. He was a serial killer, child rapist, child murderer, and cannibal. And the most atrocious thing he did, aside from his physical crimes, was that he sent a letter to the mother of one of his victims describing exactly what he did. And it's just awful. I mean, I'll just read one little sentence to give you an idea from his letter. I choked her to death, then cut her in small pieces so I could take my meat to my rooms, cook, and eat it. And it gets worse from there. So Albert Fish was like heinous beyond all levels of heinous. And there's a lot.
And he was killed. He was executed, I believe, in the electric chair. And didn't they find something weird when he was executed? Like he had stuck all these pins up his ass or something like that.
Yeah, in his perineum, like so the taint area, they found tons of needles fragments that he'd just been sticking into himself. He was this guy who just liked to hurt himself, and yeah, I mean it's all over the place. But
Joe, didn't you write something similar in my yearbook, my senior year?
That sounds about right.
That I would shit on you? Might have.
Just like, thanks for the needles in the taint.
I mean, I guess for me, if I'm the last one here, serial killers. I mean, dude, that Richard Ramirez guy,
Night Stalker.
the Night Stalker guy, just there's his randomness, and did he kill you? I mean, he raped you, and dude, there was that guy all over the place in LA and stuff, and yeah, that's pretty spooky stuff. I mean, they're all scary as shit. None of them are gonna be like, okay, well, I'll take one over the other.
When Art and I went to the Haunted Museum out in Vegas, they had the bedspread of one serial killer who was known to kind of tie his male victims down to the bed, and I believe he was a cop, and he would rape them and torture them, until he murdered them.
Did you just say you believe he was a top?
No, a cop.
A cop.
He said.
Oh, a cop.
Wow.
By definition, yeah, he's definitely a top.
But the bed had like shit stains on it.
So I mean, had lots of stains.
The actual bedspread that they had is wow.
Yeah, I'm
all right, Kenny. I don't really
know
know
who that guy is. I can't remember his name, but yeah.
Yeah, how do I score this? Okay,
that's what I was going to ask.
I'm going to say
going to hell.
I'm going to say that nobody gets points because this is a very awful thing to talk about. And yeah, that's what we need to root for the entirety of this episode, is that nobody gets points. All of those guys are assholes.
If you do, you're going.
And then she talked about girls.
I understand
so
Jeffrey Dahmer was a nice guy, but
up until the end, right? And what about the guy who, like, what did you drank the Kool-Aid? What was his name?
Jim Jones.
Yeah, Jim Jones. He was
And
great all
Leonardo
the way up till the end.
DiCaprio is playing Jim Jones now in a movie.
Wow.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Another...
you got Ted Bundy. Everyone loved him.
Yeah. Did you know that Jim Jones would talk about his ding dong in his like preaching? He would sit there in his tapes. He'd just talk about how, and he would talk about how he would make love to men and women just to prove a point about religion, particularly men, so he could show them how straight he was. And he also had another.
I never needed to prove that.
He had a great saying. He would shout, "Let the night roar," which is amazing. I heard that on another podcast. It's a true crime podcast.
I'm going to show you how straight I am by fucking you in the ass.
Yes, and there are recordings of him saying that essentially, and it is amazing. If I can find that, I'll bonus it.
And then he made some Kool-Aid.
And then he made lots of Kool-Aid. 909 people's worth of Kool-Aid, I believe.
Wow, that's a lot. I thought it was a lot less than that, like two or 300.
Oh, he not good.
Well, anyway,
I gotta say, Kat, I hope your topic is a little bit more bright than what I let us.
Hey, this is
true crime. What are you gonna do?
I mean,
true crime.
You can only get so happy with true crime, but no, it's not. So I want to talk a little bit. There's a lot of true crime out there that very popular. Lots of podcasts, lots of documentaries. I listen to a lot of podcasts, especially weirdly when I'm driving across the country alone in the middle of the night. I tend to want to hear about the people who were murdered on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere that I'm driving through. But a lot of them are unsolved, and so I want to talk a little bit about that one crime that's kind of unsolved that you'd like to see solved, and I know that there are a lot of them. But one for me that comes to mind, I don't know if you guys have heard about the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders, but that's one that I think about a lot, just because I don't know what it is about that. If you don't know what it's about, yeah. So there used to be a Girl Scout camp in Oklahoma, and before camp started one year, there was a creepy message that someone was gonna kill 3 girls, and they thought it was a joke. And basically, 3 girls were murdered and raped, and found in their sleeping bags about 150 yards from their tent after the first day. And it was horrific, and I mean, just awful. And of course, we're talking about 6-year-old girls, like very, very young girls who were raped and murdered by someone. And they still to this day don't actually have it solved, though they did have a suspect that they took to trial and basically acquitted because if I remember correctly, they didn't want to not be able to find the real murderer. Like they were pretty sure it was him, but they didn't have enough evidence. And so, if they ever found somebody, they didn't want to basically be in a position where they couldn't take somebody else to trial. And so to this day, this happened, I believe, in the 70s. So a long, long time ago. And to this day, it's not
77.
Yeah. So still not solved. But I think about it a lot. And if you're curious about it, you want to hear more about it, there are a couple really good podcasts I could recommend that have, multi-episode episodes about it because there's so much to kind of dive into. But for some reason, that one is one that just kind of keeps me up at night. And I'd love to see it solved, though I don't think it ever will be, unfortunately.
I'm going to tap in because I want to take the answer before Joe has a chance to say it. Jack the Ripper. I want that to be proven absolutely conclusively. I want that to be finally proven. No hearsay. Oh, it's this guy or the courts or the royal courts surgeon or this, that, and the other thing or whatever. I want to know.
That's from hell.
That's what I'm saying. It was conjecture. That was posited as a theory at some point. There's tons of theories. They even thought H.H. Holmes was the Ripper, but that's not true because the timelines don't add up. I mean, like, people have tons of theories, but that's one that sheerly because of time, I don't know if we'll ever figure it out. Things like Zodiac, there's still chances, but something like that, it's lost.
No, they've actually proved. They're actually
not
pretty sure.
The group that's been researching it they have a very, very strong belief, but I don't think it's been unequivocally proven that it's that guy. But that's a great fucking lead that they have.
Joe.
Well, it's, and I was actually going to mention that, it's a shame that I can't say the Zodiac because it appears it's been solved. I would have to go with, and I'm so it's interesting that I can't remember if it was Kat or Kenny brought up Netflix at the beginning of the episode talking about Kenny, I think it was you.
God damn it, you're gonna take mine. Go ahead.
Well, no. I was just going to say, I was going to speak specifically about an episode that I saw last year of Unsolved Mysteries. Which thank God it was revived on Netflix because that was one of my favorite shows growing up. In fact, I'm still pissed that Art didn't start the episode off with the Unsolved
that's great
theme song.
Well, when we do Unsolved Mysteries, then I'll do that.
Okay. There was an episode that had to do with a French count, and this is pretty recently, within the past 20 years or so. And, because I guess the French still have counts. And this guy murdered his wife and his kids. All of his kids, it was like 3 or 4 kids, and his wife, and, just vanished into thin air. And they think he literally walked into like a mountain range or something like that. And they don't know if he died up there or if he did that just to make it look like he did die. So he could, he was always obsessed with moving to like the United States. But the thing that just really, and it's weird. I kind of get the shivers just talking about it right now. The thing that really stood out from that whole episode was one of the people at the end was saying, the thing that's so crazy about this guy is that he's so ordinary, meaning that, oftentimes, America's Most Wanted, Unsolved Mysteries, all these shows are like, oh, this guy, has a scar, he has a lazy eye, he's bald, he's this or that. This guy is so ordinary looking that like you would pass him on the street and not even bat an eye. He just looks normal. And, that is how, if he is still alive, that's how well he's blended into public, that he's blended into public because he just looks like an ordinary person. And for some reason, that's just always really, if he's living here in the States, who am I to say that he doesn't live next door? You know what I mean? And it's, this person who butchered his entire family, including the damn dogs. You know what I mean? You
definitely just described the guy who lives 2 doors down from me. So,
well, that's because you live in Florida. But
Florida's disgusting. That's life.
But I would actually say Unsolved Mysteries. A lot of these crimes that they brought up are they're just mind fucks. But that is the one that really stood out to me.
I mean, cool story, bro.
It's interesting. There are a lot of those. It seems like a lot of people who just have gone missing and they're very ordinary and there's really no explanation as to why. There's one specific podcast I listen to a lot that does a lot of missing persons. And it's like, that story happens every day. It's crazy. Like, what happens to these people?
Yeah, it's crazy.
For me, in fact, just real fast, Kenny, I'm so sorry, but just real fast. It reminds me of a guy who's been on the FBI top 10 for 20 years now, who killed his wife and kids I think it was out west, and he moved into the woods afterwards. And no, people were like, did he kill himself out there? Is he still living out there? But this guy's been on the top 10 list for decades now. And, to the point where when they believe that he's passed, that's when they'll take him off. But he's still on there. I'm sorry, Kenny, go ahead.
No, you're good. I want to hear that. Fuck you, Art. That was good. I wanted to hear that. Just because you're sick. Okay. Anyway. Hey, for me, guys, I want to know who killed Teresa Hallback, man. This is what is it, Wisconsin? This is Making a Murderer, Netflix. You guys are aware of this, Stephen Avery. So Stephen Avery was committed to prison for a while and then acquitted, and that police department did some fucking really scandalous shit in the. And now I'm frankly I'm not convinced at all that they know who killed Teresa Hallback, and I think that if I were their family, I would be all over that stuff. But that's not for me. But that's my big one, man. Making a Murderer on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, it's got 2 seasons. There's a 3rd season coming out. Lots of going on. Yeah, somebody killed that girl, and it wasn't Stephen Avery. I tell you that.
So wait, do you think he's
motherfucker.
innocent, or do you think he's involved?
No, he's not innocent. He's innocent. He's not involved at all.
Really?
Absolutely, man. If you just look at it, and I've gone through and this is one of the most fascinating true crime series that I personally have been involved with. If nothing else, it's because it really is unsolved. Stephen Avery didn't do what they say that he did to that lady, and Brandon Dassey, his nephew, was also in that, and he's been all but acquitted in this whole thing because of evidence just isn't lining up, and I could go on and on, guys. You gotta watch it, but that's the one for me.
So, Kenny, did we all do good? And this is 0 points once again?
Yeah, we all did good. This is 0 point. What am I going to do? Joe. Or no, I'm going to give him the cat because I like to hear about, murdered Girl Scouts.
It's horrible.
But think of the tag-alongs.
Wait, you think that?
It's
really, do you think that's horrible?
No, that's even worse.
All right, Art.
There goes
Go ahead.
It's my turn.
Tell us your topic in your sexy, raspy voice.
That's right. Okay, let's see. So how about we talk about the best or worst true crime series that we've either listened to or we've watched? And now, true crime does not necessarily mean just murders. There's other stuff out there. So I will say that the worst one I've ever watched, because it felt like such a colossal waste of time, was the one on Netflix called This Is a Robbery, and it was about the world's greatest art heist. So they paint it in this way that it's this colossal crime worth tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars that happened in the 70s or the 80s or maybe the 90s, I don't remember. And they build it up with such gusto that they're like, it's almost like they're saying, these people got caught, but we're going to hold off to the end. Then you get to literally the end and we have no idea and we may never know. And all I thought was, what the fuck was the point of that show? How is that? That's, to me, true crime. You need some sort of ending. I get, I don't know. I hate true crime that has no ending. I just can't stand it. My wife, she likes that stuff. You might listen to the same show, Kat, where it's about people who go missing and you just never fucking find them. They don't know. I can't. That annoys the shit out of me. So
we opened with Serial. Did nobody?
I did not listen to it. I openly said I did not listen to Serial.
I listened to that. Yeah, I heard that one.
Yeah.
Well, look, my favorite true crime podcast is To Live and Die in LA. Season 1, amazing. That was fucking earth-shattering. Season 2, not so much. And you know why? Because they didn't figure out what happened. But in season 1, they did.
Kenny, and I'll actually let you go next just because you've gone last, I think, for both topics. But with Serial, I mean, that spoke to me because it was right next door to where I worked. All that stuff, the high school, the library, the Best Buy.
I went and paid for stuff at that Best Buy. I went through my whole head and like the whole thing about that first season of Serial, like just going through that whole murder. And I don't believe it. I don't believe him. I think he's innocent. I think he needs another trial. I think something's wrong here.
I agree with you.
Disagree?
On that one.
We're
No,
just going to agree to disagree there. I think, okay. So I take it that your answer here, Kenny, is Serial for this topic.
Oh, no. Okay. So if I were going to go best or worst, I'll tell you what, one of the best crime series, I wouldn't even, I don't know how to explain it. We were on a road trip, my wife and I, and they kept talking about in this, I listen to a lot of public radio, and they said Shit Town was like one of like a good podcast, right? And it's a mystery. It's a suicide mystery type deal. It was so fucking fascinating. And I know this is obscure and our listeners aren't going to know about it, but I mean, I tell you what, as far as true crime is concerned, you got a guy who, you know, he's got so many layers, and you're trying to unravel these layers like an onion. And every episode kind of gets down to a new layer, and you're just listening. And I was fascinating, and I'm telling you, it made 8 hours turn into 1 hour. It was awesome. And I gotta say, like, you know, when it comes to true crime, like, dude, if it's not a straight up documentary like on Netflix or whatever, where they know what's going on, it's not like 1-to-1. Dude, podcasting is where it's at. I mean, radio is where it's at for that kind of thing. So yeah, I would say that Shit Town, which would be my one of my absolute favorites. I mean, it had me every minute of every word they were saying. It drove me nuts. So,
Kat, do you want to go next, or do you want me to go first?
Oh, I'll go. I agree. Podcasting is where it's at for true crime, and I'm going to go best true crime series. So there's a podcast called True Crime Garage, and hands down my favorite podcast for true crime. I listen to it way too much, but they do a lot of very popular cases. They do a lot of missing person cases, but it's these two guys that drink beer and talk about true crime, and they're just very interesting. They, you know, go through the facts, and they definitely give their opinions, but very clearly state when it's their opinion. So, you know, don't give them too much shit. And, you know, feel like these people who are committing these crimes are dirtbags and aren't afraid to let you know about it. But so I like the way that they approach the conversation. But, you know, they also pick a lot of very obscure, very interesting cases. And so it's really interesting to listen to. Like, it just captivates me. I can't stop once I start listening to it. And I've actually found myself just driving around so that I force myself to continue listening to an episode or multiple episodes because it's so good.
Driveway moments.
Yeah.
So even though I'm scared of Kenny awarding me negative points here, and I know that Kenny and Kat both feel differently, I have to say that, you know, I have to go back to Adnan Syed real quick. My mom had a certain sixth sense when it came to stories out there about if people were guilty or innocent and whatnot. And you know, not that I ever talked to her about this case, but remember the case about Susan Smith, where she said that some guy robbed her and, you know, drove her kids off or something like that. And, you know, it turned out that the kids were drowned in like the back of her car. My mom knew.
I remember this.
Immediately it was her who did it. You know, she saw her press conference, said, she literally saw her press conference and said, that bitch is guilty. you know, so, you know, she just had the sixth sense. Adnan Syed, I don't know if he killed the, I think he killed her, but at the very least, he was involved. That's just my sixth sense there telling me that he was in. Now, that said, if I was on the jury, I could not have convicted. But, you know, given the evidence, but I have a gut feeling here that he was involved. Now, that said, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to say that my true crime series might not really be a true crime series, but it kind of is. And it's both my best and worst because it's terrible, but it's a train, it's a car wreck. You just can't look away. And that would be Tiger King.
I was hoping
God.
somebody would mention it.
Tiger King, I watched that last year, at the beginning of the pandemic. And
We all
was
did.
the first show I actually watched at the onset of the pandemic. And I still don't really know what the fuck I watched. I remember thinking that the guy, not Carol Baskin and not the Tiger King, but the other guy, I was like, thank God there's a normal person on the show. And then by episode 2 or 3, you find out that he has a harem of women.
Yeah.
Dude, that show did such a good job of just being like setting you up, and then at the end of the first episode, bam, blowing your mind. Next episode, I mean, dude, it was perfect. I mean, and it came out right at the pandemic. Oh God.
My question though is, how in the hell are they doing a Tiger King 2? Which I know that Carol Baskin and her husband are currently suing Netflix to make sure it's not released. But what is really left of the story?
So,
well, he's
So
appealing,
much
isn't
more.
he?
yes, he's appealing, and there's been evidence. Okay, so as a Floridian, I get local news down here, and there's been new evidence that apparently, like, the little tiger thing, the little zoo that they have, has been shut down, and I think it's back open now. But like, I don't know. I'm waiting for Netflix. I don't.
I want to change my answer on the previous topic. I want to know what happened to Carol Baskin's first husband. My guess is
she killed him.
Right?
Dude, she killed him. Come on. She murdered him.
Yeah.
He's dead because she murdered him. I believe that. I don't have belief. I'm aware of that. She did that.
Yes.
Did we skip somebody?
Nope.
Great. Okay, so I'm gonna give Kat the points because that little baby boy.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, it's my turn.
You, Kenny, yeah.
Yeah. Why do we love this shit? Like, why are we so fascinated by this?
He's crazy.
Dude, a good mystery. Okay, so I just want to point out that in preparation for this episode, my wife and I were sitting on the couch, and she's like, well, let's watch some true crime stuff. I'm like, okay, find something on Netflix. And she finds something called I think it's called You Don't Fuck with Cats.
That's one of the best documentaries I've ever seen in my life.
What?
So good.
I can't watch.
We're not even done with the first episode.
So good.
We're not even done with the and I hate cats. Fuck cats. I'm the first
Fuck
one.
you.
Fuck you. Fuck yeah. I hate cats. I don't want them tortured or murdered.
Oh, not on the torture murder part. Just fucking cats. Sorry.
So, Kenny, when you are done, go to True Crime Garage and listen to the Barbie and Ken murder episode. Seriously.
I'm just gonna give it away. Did you just give it?
No,
you better not have given it
that's
away.
Those are different killers.
I know,
totally
but are they
different.
really? Are they really? I mean,
They are. They're different
they're
killers.
Totally
so
different.
that gives
But
it away, guys.
it doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. But
That one takes you
seriously-
through so many turns. It's wonderful.
Dude.
Yeah.
And
So,
then like,
yeah.
if you go through it and like, these true crimes, like that, if you step outside of what's actually happening in the crime itself that they're talking about, the documentary, that the presentation of it all, like it just grabs you, and they're like, I'm inspired to make like a documentary about the most mundane shit, and like make it so epic that you're like, oh my God, did he actually use the milk to pour the cereal? Did he really do that? I mean, it's just awesome. So yeah, so we just started that prior to the recording of this episode, and this says that took 30 seconds. So who else would like to?
So wait, so what's the question exactly again? Why do we
love this shit?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll go.
Why
I'll go.
do
Um,
we love?
I think it's because why do we love trash TV? Not me, but I mean, why do people watch the Maury Povich show and Jenny Jones and Jerry Springer's?
Not you.
You
Your
want to
balls.
feel.
Come on now.
You want to feel better about yourself than these people.
So we're elevating ourselves.
Exactly.
So we use it to elevate ourselves. I do. The mystery, man.
I don't know. It's the mystery is captivating, but did you really, if we're saying that Tiger King was a true crime series, and what do you all think? Does that classify as a true crime series?
Yeah, it's true crime. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it was essentially luckily the crime that was focusing on didn't happen, which was him trying to have her killed. But
is it especially captivating? Do you really like?
Well, you can't pigeonhole what makes something captivating. For that, the characters were captivating, these human beings. Other times, the story's captivating and the situation. It depends. Every story is different, Like, for example, I'll just say, like, talking back on Kenny's "Don't Fuck with Cats." To me, what was captivating about that was the degree of skill that the internet sleuths had to solve something so fucking deviant. That was amazing to me. That was captivating. Joe Exotic, he was a captivating dude. So everything's a little different.
And just to piggyback off that, I watched the HBO documentary last year about Patton Oswalt's first wife, who I don't remember her name. She sadly passed away, but she was the one who basically tracked down the Golden State Killer with all of her research. And it wasn't just her, it was a lot of people working with her online in these different forums and whatnot. And they basically cracked the case. And the guy is in his 80s now and is going to spend the rest of his life behind bars and boo-hoo-hoo, but it's like, it's better than what he deserves.
Yeah.
But again, it's, I don't know. It's some of it is captivating, but some of it really is just trash TV like the Tiger King. And I just think it makes us feel better about ourselves.
So about the Tiger King, if I may, you're right. All the stuff about Tiger King is just us watching a train wreck of a person.
People.
But Carol Baskin definitely killed her ex-husband, right? I mean, come on.
Oh, yeah.
She definitely
Absolutely.
did that.
Yep.
We're going to get sued.
Come on, dude. Come on. Homie. I mean, it does nobody makes, I mean, dude, her bookkeeper was like, mm-mm. And I have a bookkeeper. She knows more about me than anybody. I mean, trust me. My bookkeeper is going to be like, no, didn't happen. Nope, didn't happen. That guy didn't do that shit. Trust me. I kept his books. I mean, I'm telling you, Carol Baskin killed that dude. And I think we're going to see some shit in season 2 because of the local news. Her whole thing is shut down as far as I know. Like, you can't go there and do it.
I mean, there's got to be a reason why she's suing them to not release this thing, right? Like,
right?
If you got something to hide, you don't want people to know more about you.
Correct.
Of course, then there's the flip side of the coin, which is everything could be held against you too. So, but I don't know. I'm with you. She did it. 100%.
She did it. 100%.
Ken,
and I could see it when they talk to her. I could see it when they talk to her. I was like, oh, you're fucking guilty, you bitch. You're guilty.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts here on this question, Kat?
For me, I think it's different for everybody, but for me, I really enjoy sociology and why people do the things that they do. And, I've always been interested in crime stories, I would say, but once I hit college and I was really studying it and I was going into the prisons and the jails and talking to people, that's when it really hit me. It was like, oh my God, people do these things for reasons that make sense to them. And it's just so interesting to learn about, to hear about, to understand their perspective. Not to say that it's right, but to hear where they came from and to hear why they were able to reason with some horrific thing that they did. You know, I actually got to meet a Black widow in one of the women's prisons, and she was just very like, yeah, I mean, I just wanted the money, and like it was just this very real normal thing to her. And so to talk to her and to listen to her side was, you know, not to make it okay, but it made me want to know more.
It's intriguing.
Before we get to Art's answer, has anyone watched the show on Netflix? And I have not, but I've been intrigued by it. I think it has like 2 seasons now, called
My Octopus Teacher.
I'm a Killer.
Oh,
No,
but I want to see
started
the
watch
interview
that.
series. Yeah.
Okay. Like each episode is about a person who is murdered, and I don't know if they're on death row or they've got in life, or you know, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, but but that intrigues me just to hear these people who have taken lives and to get their perspective on things.
It's really interesting to talk to them and like hear their side of it. And I don't know. I
It's
think that's
fascinating, and it's one of those things that you're able to kind of be like, oh, I'm nowhere near as crazy. I think I'm crazy as fuck, but I'm nowhere near as crazy as this guy is.
Makes you feel a little more normal.
Yes, it puts you in the right realm. There was a show on Netflix. God, I don't remember what it's called. They've since canceled it, which pissed me off. It has 2 seasons. It starred Nick Groff, if anybody knows who that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mindhunter.
Minehunters, yes,
Yeah.
yes, Minehunters. And
That was good.
That was fucking great. Oh my god.
Still got to finish season 2, but I really like that a lot.
It's canceled.
Really good.
Yeah.
Who was
They
the serial
canceled
killer
it.
who was 6'8", who they always talk to? The real person.
Yeah, the mother's boy guy, Edmund Kemper.
Thank you.
Kemper. Yes, yes. Well played by the actor who played him in that series, by the way. And yeah, everything. I mean, Nick Groff's amazing. I love him anyway. So, yeah. Where am I at? Are we done?
No, it's my turn.
No,
It's Art's turn. Go ahead, Art.
I'll make it.
Why do we love
quick.
this shit?
It was kind of a slight piggyback off of what Kat said. I think there is a curiosity with why people do what they do, but I also think there is a morbid fascination with the fact that people do these things, period. I mean, the reality is you look at what these folks do and it seems alien and so far off and otherworldly, but in reality, it is nothing more than a small moment, an instant, a decision away before any of us can do any of these things. Now, clearly they have problems and they act out in a way that most well-adjusted normal people wouldn't. But the reality is it only takes a second to pull a trigger. It only takes a second to push someone. It only takes a second to do many of these things. And it's just like, it feels like they are literally canyons apart, but these are human beings who just did one thing. And now they live this completely alternate reality. And we get to see into that parallel world that looks very much like ours, but it's not. It's all left-footed and strange. And I think it's because of that familiarity yet strangeness that a lot of us are captivated by this thing. You know, it speaks to something inside of us that we might not be in tune with or quite aware of. But I think there's a lot more of a connection that we hold with people than we realize. And it's just that strange fact that they are human too, and it's just hard to reconcile that.
So for me, somewhere in the early aughts, Grand Theft Auto 3 came out for the PlayStation 2. And I have never been so satisfied by just fucking killing people. Like just killing them. Like,
I want
hey,
the world to know that this is going as
burn
Exhibit A in the trial.
Down. Just fucking find a sniper rifle, get up on top of that parking garage and start and just, can they catch me? Can they get me? Can they, you know, is that a problem? Is that normal?
That's perfectly fine as long as you keep it in the video game world and not in the real
I mean,
world.
that was the first of many iterations of that game, so I can't be the only one.
No. I think that's another thing. It feeds into that internal thing that's in us.
Yeah, separating reality from fiction like that.
And speaking of which, Kenny, I think you should ask your wife, since she's the breadwinner, if she would buy you the new Grand Theft Auto trilogy, which is a remaster of GTA 3, GTA Vice City, and GTA San Andreas.
Comes out this Thursday. I'm already pre-ordered it, sir. Yep.
You mean that your wife is pre-ordered?
Yes.
Hey, I make money.
No, you don't.
Fuck you. You don't know anything about me.
You don't make money other than what you make on our show, and that's not enough. So it's all good.
I would like for you to continue to believe that.
And, I
All
trust
right.
Joe. Joe knows everything.
Kenny, are there any points to go around here? Or are we
Oh
done?
God, everybody wins tonight because
Yay.
how am I gonna do this? I can't just
You're
be
all
like
centered.
one serial killer is better than any other. Kat, thanks for joining us tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me. Always nice to see y'all.
Art, Joe, you got anything you want to plug?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, so I'll read us out. Thank you, listeners, for allowing us to finish the last of Aunt May's lasagna. As you listen to us for an hour, she will be missed, but that lasagna was awesome. Our top financial contributor for the week is Likes It in My Teeth 4002, and they say, I want some of that Art Hall shag carpet to line my van. That's not disturbing, but it is disappointing. For real, though, thank you to all our contributors, and my new kitchen will be fantastic when it's complete. As always, you can find us at thatwasdisappointing.com or wherever you download your podcast from. We release a newish episode every Monday, perfect for a commute, some house chores, or maybe an escape while the jury deliberates. Thank yous to our guests. Guys, play us out.
I got the blues. I got the blues.
I've got the alcoholic. No more beer, my heart to cheer. Goodbye, whiskey. Used to think me thirsty. And you're coming back again.
And you're coming again.
God.
Again.
That was disappointing.
Oh, that was. Ugh.
How very much I've tried my best to give you a good life. But in spite of all of that I've tried, a handful of our people, with their lives, have made our life impossible.